Alessandra was ready to lose her to her fiance, until she found him naked in bed with her stepsister. A delicious warmth spread through her legs, thinking about his touch. The thought of giving herself to her fiancé for the first time set Alessandra's heart racing. She was on her way to tell him the good news. She would finally lift her mask and reveal her face to him. The scar on her face, once a source of shame, had faded into a faint gray blemish, leaving her more beautiful than ever. She adjusted the mask on her face and pushed open the grand doors to her father's estate, the Barrett estate, where a lavish was underway. Where is William? I can't find him anywhere. Though she couldn't find her fiancé, what bothered her more was the thought of facing Kate at the party. Just remembering how her stepsister had scarred her face brought a bitter taste to her mouth. She glanced around, noticing William was nowhere in sight. That's when the cook, Mario, stepped in and whispered in her ear.
Hey, I saw William sneaking off with Kate into her bedroom.
Brushing off the unease, Alessandra rushed to Kate's room. As she stood at the door, Kate's laughter rang through her ears. She pushed the door open just enough to see inside. On the bed, she saw her stepsister, Kate, and her fiancé, William. The light from the window illuminated their naked, entwined bodies. Isn't it fun sneaking around like this?
I can't keep my hands off you, even for a moment.
Aren't you worried that my sister might find out?
I don't care. That masked freak was promised to me by your father to settle his gambling debt. She is all but my slave.
That masked freak will be your wife soon.
After I take her mother's inheritance away from her, that witch will rot somewhere in a dark alley.
William's words slashed Alessandra's heart. She had been planning to bear his children. He was never her first choice for a husband, because he was a womanizer who treated women like playthings, but she had made peace with her reality. Who else would have taken me, a cursed masked girl, as a bride? In that case, kiss me again. Besides, Alessandra is not allowed to leave her room during the ball. She would never dare to venture out.
I have always wondered, Kate, how did Alessandra end up with a mask on her face, trapped at your estate? She is Desmond Barrett's daughter, just like you.
It's a long story, William. I must leave soon. I need to get ready for the ball. Tonight I will claim the Duke as my husband.
What can that bloody Duke give you that I can't, Kate?
Oh, William. It's all a means to an end. I will still be yours to do as you please after I am wedded to the Duke. I have to get ready now, Alessandra whispered to herself. I knew Kate was capable of something like this, but William? I am calling off this engagement. There are plenty of men here who would with me once they were drunk enough. I just need to find the right one. She turned and rushed out of there, her heart pounding painfully in her chest. Downstairs, she crossed the ballroom filled with crowds, and it felt like they were all celebrating her misery. Grabbing the tallest drink she could find, she hurried to the garden, desperate for fresh air. She leaned against the weathered garden parapet, craving another man's touch. She wanted to melt into someone's arms, like she had just seen Kate do with William. That is when she noticed a man leaning against the wall, smoking a cigar, and when he turned, Alessandra gasped. It's Duke Edgar, the man Kate wants to marry, Alessandra thought. But if I convince him to with me, that will teach Kate and William a lesson. Alessandra gulped down her drink for some liquid courage and took a step towards the Duke. But the moonlight illuminated his handsome features, and all her confidence vanished. She thought, how can I convince someone so stunning to sleep with a masked girl like me? But by then, the Duke had noticed Alessandra, and their eyes clashed. Both were unaware how drastically their lives were going to change. Before Alessandra could say anything, the Duke frowned and said, That dress is a little thin to protect you, isn't it? Alessandra was startled. She turned to face him, and Edgar noticed the mask she wore. I am very much aware of that, Alessandra. The Duke knows my name? She stared at him in awe. Who else would be wearing a mask in the Baron's home except for his infamous daughter? Edgar replied, blowing out a puff of smoke. Alessandra hesitated before speaking. Are you scared of me? No. There are scarier things in life, darling. Why should I be scared of you all because of a mask? Edgar said, his tone casual. That's going to kill you if you don't stop, Alessandra said, wrinkling her nose at the smell of the cigar. Good. It'll speed up the process. Are you scared of me? Edgar asked. Do you know who I am? The Duke? Alessandra's eyes widened. They say you are to be married. Is that why you are here? For my sister? Edgar scoffed. I would rather die. No offense, he added, realizing it was her sister he was insulting. None taken, Alessandra smiled. She was starting to like this man. He added, None of the young women in there shall be my wife. They are all like matching dolls in a set. Alessandra said, I am unlike any of them. You could have considered me if I weren't already engaged to William Lancaster. William Lancaster? Edgar repeated. You better be careful. He's not the man he pretends to be. Alessandra sighed. I know, I just found that out. What choice do I have, Duke Edgar? I can't escape my fate unless... She paused. Unless what? Edgar questioned. But he wasn't ready for what Alessandra was about to propose. Unless you were to marry me instead, Alessandra replied. What? Edgar raised an eyebrow, intrigued. It's only been 10 minutes, and you already think I'm in love with you? I am not looking for love, Duke Edgar, Alessandra said, her voice steady. I am looking for a way out, but so are you. Edgar was surprised. You think you know me? Alessandra added. I know the king wants you to marry soon. For a man with no interest in romance, I might be your best option. I'll live like a shadow in your castle, silent, unseen, tending to your needs, and I promise, I'll never love you. Edgar chuckled. No strings attached? How can I trust you? What about a contract? Alessandra proposed. She was desperate to convince him. It would be the perfect way to get revenge on her evil sister and escape William Lancaster. A contract marriage? Edgar repeated as he considered Alessandra's proposal. Did your father set this up? He asked, his tone skeptical. My father has no idea that I am out here speaking to you, Duke Edgar. He won't be pleased to see you here with me, Alessandra replied honestly. Edgar studied her for a moment. Alessandra continued, I am not interested in marrying anyone. I only wish to leave this place and never look back. Why don't you just run away? Edgar suggested. Alessandra said, How long can a woman remain alone without the protection of a strong man? Well, Alessandra, I am spoken of as the most eligible bachelor in town, Edgar said mockingly, his words dripping with pride. Why should I marry you? Alessandra's lips curled as she replied, I do not care for your looks, Duke Edgar, nor your money or anything else others might want. Frankly, I only see you as an escape, she explained. This will be your way out of your problem with the king. Is that so? Edgar said, intrigued. It isn't hard for me to find an actress to play the role of my wife. If it were so easy, you would have done so already, Alessandra countered, seeing through his bluff. The king is toying with you. Present me to him as your bride, and the tables would turn. Edgar smirked. I can't wait to see the king's reaction when he has to bless you by kissing your forehead. He believes in your curse. It'll be priceless to watch him squirm like that. So, Alessandra said, should I consider it a deal? Edgar watched her for a moment before responding. Meet me at my estate tomorrow. We will further discuss this there, and then I will give you my answer. Alessandra's eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't expected him to take her seriously. I don't leave my father's estate. I am trapped here, she said, her voice tinged with worry. I want to see how determined you are. I'm sorry to end our conversation here, but I have stayed at your home longer than I wanted to, Alessandra. Hopefully, we shall see each other soon, Edgar said. Alessandra felt a mix of hope and fear. She had to find a way to meet him tomorrow, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. That's when she noticed Kate walking in their direction. Panicking, she told Edgar, I will see you tomorrow, Duke Edgar, but please keep this conversation between us. Edgar nodded courteously, and she rushed away as Kate arrived. Kate had already seen her speaking to Edgar and was wondering what it was about. Alessandra leaned against a tree, far from the party, her mind racing. Good thing she saw me, she muttered to herself. She knew Kate would be furious if she found out about her conversation with Edgar. Alessandra hoped Kate hadn't overheard anything about the contract. The next morning, Alessandra was full of anticipation as she got ready to meet the Duke. Suddenly, her eyes fell on the many gifts William Lancaster had given her for their engagement, still wrapped just as they were the day he gave them. She had never felt the urge to open them until now. A sudden wave of curiosity hit her, and she quickly opened one. Inside was a blindfold. Why would anyone gift his fiancé a blindfold? She muttered, confused. With growing unease, she ripped open the remaining packages, only to find items she never could have imagined, not even in her darkest dreams. Blindfolds, heavy anklets, whips, and even a chastity belt. Perhaps all the stories about him are true, she whispered to herself. He was hinting at his perversions, gifting her these disturbing items, all while wearing that gentle smile. He's planning to hurt me, tie me up, and inflict pain as he takes pleasure in it. She sighed deeply. I must get this contract done soon. The Duke is my only way out of this impending misery. Once they sign the contract, Alessandra would become one of the most powerful people in the kingdom. She couldn't wait for her life to change, but that is only if she figures out how to sneak out of the mansion. Otherwise, all of this is just fantasy. Just then, someone knocked on the door, and Alessandra found that odd. The maid would always just keep her breakfast outside the door and leave. That should have been an indicator that something was wrong. My lady, breakfast is here, the maid said. Alessandra was already dressed to sneak out of the estate, her mask the only remaining part of her attire. My lady? The voice called again. Alessandra winced from the pain. Get your foot off my hand, Kate. Kate pressed her shoe harder on her hand. Run along, she ordered the maid, who quickly left. Did you have fun last night, Alessandra? She questioned. The pain trickled up Alessandra's hand into her arm. Kate continued, furious. Tell me, what did you discuss with the Duke last night? She demanded. Nothing, Kate, Alessandra replied. He just wanted to know if he could smoke in the garden. You are lying, Kate accused. You spent a long time with him to answer one query. Kate put her whole weight on her shoe and said, The Duke told me last night that he's calling off our engagement. After you spoke with him, tell me, what did you tell him? Kate, please, Alessandra cried out. Nothing more, I swear, Kate, he wants to marry you. Kate eased the pressure on Alessandra's hand, but it was still under her shoe. She said, Of course he would want to marry me. She was sure, nobody can resist my charms. With a sly smile on her face, she muttered under her breath, Not even your fiance. Alessandra looked up with anger in her eyes. She wanted to tell Kate that she had caught her and her fiance in a wild, dirty makeout session last night. But she knew that would only make Kate furious, and Alessandra only wanted to leave and meet the Duke at his mansion. While Alessandra struggled to free herself and flee at the Collins estate, Duke Edgar sat patiently by the window, staring out towards the gate, waiting for the arrival of a carriage. Alfred, his butler, entered. Young master, I have brought your breakfast. Edgar turned. Are you expecting guests? Should I prepare breakfast for them or have drinks prepared? Alfred asked. I'm honestly not sure. I hope a woman won't turn down my invitation, Edgar said, looking out the window. A woman visiting? In broad daylight? Alfred said, surprised. Edgar frowned. What are you trying to say, Alfred? That I am some kind of... Yes, Alfred bowed. Edgar couldn't believe Alfred had answered honestly. I am not. Please refrain from saying such a thing if the guest is to arrive. She might become the lady of this house. What? Alfred said, surprised. Edgar stared at him, unamused. Why are you acting like it's such a surprise I would get a wife? Alfred recollected himself. Your exact words when the king suggested you marry were, I am never getting married. I would rather jump from the roof and die. Maybe I misinterpreted those words. I apologize. Alfred, I am not interested in marriage, but the woman I met last night was intriguing. A perfect way to the king and ward off some people from around me. I do not understand, Alfred said. It will be self-explanatory if she arrives today. If a Barrett comes to visit me, let them in. Not the father, Edgar added. Barrett, please tell me it's not Kate, Alfred asked softly. No, the Baron has another daughter. Alessandra Barrett is the older one, Edgar said. Thank goodness, Alfred sighed in relief. You are aware of the rumors concerning Alessandra, right? Edgar asked. Anyone is better than Kate in my book. If Kate were to become your wife, I would jump out of the window and die. Edgar chuckled on hearing this. Alfred added, I have never seen her venture out of the Barrett estate without her sister, Kate. I am not so sure she will arrive. That's entirely her lookout, Alfred, Edgar said. Let's wait and see. But over the Baron's mansion, Alessandra was struggling to get her hand from under Kate's foot. It was as if Kate had adopted William's twisted enjoyment of inflicting pain, and all in a single night. Kate, you are hurting me. Take off your foot. Alessandra couldn't keep the pain out of her voice. That's when Alessandra was saved by someone who she never expected to come to her rescue. It was her father, Desmond Barrett. Kate, Desmond exclaimed. Stop it right this instant. But father, Kate trailed off, realizing there was no use in denying what he saw. She spoke to the Duke last night. Desmond was taken by surprise. He looked down at Alessandra, who was still on the floor. He ordered Kate, I will take care of it. Leave. Kate stomped her feet and left, leaving Alessandra trembling in pain but relieved. Alessandra, sweetheart, Desmond said, inching closer. Can you tell me what happened between you and the Duke last night? You know you are not allowed to interact with bachelors as you're now promised to William Lancaster. Alessandra fumbled as she replied, I was on my way to the kitchen when he stopped me. Desmond nodded. What did you talk about? Alessandra kept her head down. He only wanted to make sure he could smoke in the garden and talked about Kate. Really? Desmond's eyes lit up. That man is so strange. He probably wants to observe her a little longer. This is good. Edgar was someone Desmond needed to help him crawl out of his debt. Kate's finding a rich husband was their only hope. Still, you shouldn't have interacted with him. What if you cursed him in the process? Desmond scolded. I'm sorry, Father, Alessandra replied. Fine, fine. There's absolutely no point in scolding you. I'm sorry about what Kate did, but she's just looking out for us. Edgar is someone who can easily ruin us, Desmond said. Then she remembered that she needed to meet Duke Edgar. Taking advantage of Desmond's good mood, she said, I am bored in here, Father. I am trapped here all the time. What is it that you would like to pass the time? Name anything and I shall fetch it right away, Desmond offered. He was feeling generous. Since you asked, Alessandra said, can I take the carriage and ride around the town? Desmond placed his hand on his hip. Of course you can. Just take your sister along with you. Alessandra knew taking Kate along was the surest way to fail Duke Edgar's test. She coyly put her hand in front of her father. Her knuckles were bruised red and blue. After what she did to me just now, Father, you expect me to ride with her? I want some peace of mind, not a reminder of what I have to go through every day. She knew she was pushing it, but fate was on her side. Okay, Alessandra, Desmond agreed. Promise me you won't leave the carriage. I promise, Alessandra said, grinning beneath her mask. She had found a way to reach Edgar. Alessandra excitedly ran to the kitchen to meet her dear friend Mario, the only one in the entire castle who didn't treat her with cruelty. Mario, you must take me out in the carriage right now. I need to be somewhere. Now. No way, Alessandra. The whole station is understaffed, and I can't even take a 5-minute break, Mario replied. Alessandra looked back, clearly disappointed. I had so much to tell you. Make sure you meet me when I get back, Alessandra said with excitement, before rushing off. Unbeknownst to Alessandra, the entire conversation had been overheard by Katrina, who now stepped forward. Seems you two are close, she said, as she circled Mario. We grew up together in the maids' quarters, Mario replied cautiously. Well, I need a favor, and who better than you, Katrina said, pulling out a pouch and tossing a bunch of gold coins at him. Mario hesitated, then picked them up. Let me know when you can bring Alessandra to the woods, and keep it a secret. You'll be rewarded even more, she added. Sure I will, Baroness. She trusts me. Katrina walked away with a cruel smile. Marrying her off isn't good enough. I'd rather see her buried in the dirt. Meanwhile, Alessandra entered the Duke's mansion and gazed around the entrance, awestruck by its grandeur. This place is massive, she remarked. Good morning, she said as armored guards walked past her. Good morning, they replied in unison. Alessandra was surprised they didn't flinch at her mask. At least the guards here are not afraid of stupid rumors, she thought. Moments later, the large doors of Edgar's home opened, revealing Alfred. Welcome, Alessandra Barrett. The Duke is expecting you, Alfred greeted her. Good morning. It's nice to meet you, Alessandra said, holding out her hand. Alfred shook her hand happily. Come, I shall lead the way. Alessandra felt unable to breathe as she entered the Duke's home for the first time. The interior was stunning, filled with paintings and elegant decor. She cleared her throat and followed Alfred. I'm sorry. I did not get your name, Alessandra said. Alfred, he replied. Nice to meet you, Alfred, Alessandra smiled. He is in here, Alfred said, knocking on the door and opening it for Alessandra. Thank you, Alessandra said before entering the room. The door closed behind her, and she felt her heart skip a beat. I wasn't expecting you to show up, but if you did, breakfast time was not my guess, Edgar said, sitting at his desk, watching her every move. Was I meant to come in the night as a thief would? Alessandra responded without thinking. She lifted her chin. Would you have preferred I arrive in the dead of night? Edgar gestured to the chair across from his desk. Take a seat. I'm curious. How did you manage to leave your father's home? Did you trick him? or did he let you out willingly? Alessandra sat down, carefully considering her words. I am not working with my father. He would never allow me to visit this place. He'd call me crazy for thinking you would ever invite me into your home. Does your father hate you? Edgar asked bluntly. Alessandra hesitated before answering. I don't think he hates me. He's ashamed of me. Who would want a daughter with a reputation like mine in a world like this? It's a parent's job to love their child no matter what. It's a shame you were born a baron's daughter. You would have been loved elsewhere, Edgar remarked. If I were the daughter of farmers, they would have cast me aside to sell their crops. Why would a farmer's daughter end up wearing a mask? Whatever you're hiding, it's because you're a baron's daughter, right? High society is quite competitive, Edgar interrupted. Yes, Alessandra admitted. Someone must have been really jealous of you, Alessandra. Fine, let's say I believe this is all you're planning, and your father isn't involved. Why would someone who's lived in hiding want to marry someone in the spotlight? Truthfully, asking you about marriage just slipped out. I was looking for someone to marry, but I never pictured someone as grand as you. I've considered 3 things. You're private, so I wouldn't need to mingle much. I can ward off people from coming around you, and you can control my family, Alessandra explained. Edgar raised an eyebrow. I like to keep to myself, but there are parties I must attend. Am I to show up without my wife? It would be boring if you hid all the time. You misunderstand, Edgar. I never hid because I wanted to. I did what I was told. I'd love to go out, attend parties, and dance. I might lack experience and confidence, but I don't wish to live in the shadows anymore, Alessandra said earnestly. Edgar hummed thoughtfully. A week ago, I wouldn't have entertained this conversation, but I'm in the mood to play games. He placed a piece of paper on the desk. What is this? Alessandra asked as she looked at the paper with fancy designs on the edges. A contract marriage needs to have rules and conditions, right? Edgar pushed the paper, a pen, and ink toward her. Alessandra's eyes widened. Isn't this a little too easy? I expected you to grill me more. What are you waiting for? Edgar asked when she hesitated. Sorry. Alessandra reached for the paper, but Edgar grabbed her hand, noticing faint redness around her knuckles. What happened to your hand? It's nothing. Alessandra pulled her hand away. It's something if you're to be my wife. Name the person, and I'll have them punished, Edgar said firmly. It was an accident, Duke Edgar, Alessandra insisted. Just Edgar is fine. See to it that you don't have any more accidents before we're married, Edgar said, deciding to drop the topic for now. No love shall be the first condition. It won't be a problem on my end. Alessandra spoke first. I hope you stay like this until the end, Edgar replied. You're not my type, Edgar, Alessandra said bluntly. So there is a type, Edgar mused. I was hidden away, but I wasn't blind. What should the second condition be? Alessandra asked. Speak of this to no one besides my butler Alfred. He'll be a shield for you in dangerous times. Third, we need to communicate any issues we have. Don't let something small grow into something big, Edgar stated. I agree, Alessandra said. I must ask that I can keep my mask on until I feel comfortable without it. That's your business. Do as you wish, Edgar said, continuing with the next condition. Fifth, we must sleep in the same room. He paused and looked at Alessandra's face. Why are you surprised? Did you think I wouldn't sleep with my wife? He asked. Alessandra flushed. I suppose that makes sense. It's something couples do. Everyone does it. Young or old, Edgar said, picking up a smooth rock from his desk. How young? Alessandra asked, misunderstanding. Edgar smirked. Sleeping, Alessandra. I was referring to just sleeping. But if you wish for something more... No, sleeping is fine, Alessandra said quickly, embarrassed. Is there anything else? No, we've covered the basics. Anything else can be handled with communication. Sign it, Edgar said. Don't you want to add a punishment for breaking the contract? We haven't set a timeline either, Alessandra pointed out. The main thing is not to tell others about it. If it gets out, it'll hurt you more than me. Lastly, we'll be married forever. Add that to the contract, Edgar said. Forever? Alessandra muttered in disbelief. Yes, forever. Do you plan to break your wedding vows? Till death do us part, Edgar said with a grin. At some point you'll need an heir, Alessandra said. Of course, my wife shall be the mother of my child, but I'm not in a rush to have one, Edgar replied. You wouldn't mind me having your child? Alessandra asked, confused. Yes, I wouldn't mind. If I did, we wouldn't be discussing marriage. If this is too much, we can still ignore all of this, Edgar said. I'm worried about what a child of mine would go through. Others might attach the rumors about me to the child, Alessandra said. Alessandra, you're not aware of the weight my last name carries. Once you're my wife, those rumors will fade. No one will dare talk about you or a child in the future, Edgar assured her. Alessandra nodded. We can carry on with the contract, Duke Edgar. She started to sign her name. Edgar, he reminded her. Sorry, Edgar. I'll visit your father tomorrow to ask for your hand. It's to make sure you don't have any more accidents, Edgar said, sliding the signed contract away. Would you like to live with me until the wedding? It's not uncommon, though some might think you're pregnant. Absolutely not, Alessandra exclaimed, horrified at the thought of another rumor. I don't need to add pregnancy to the list of rumors about me. Edgar scoffed. Anyone who'd believe I got you pregnant before marriage would be an idiot. Then again, there are rumors that I sneak women into this house at night. Do you? Alessandra asked, curious. Edgar pretended to be offended, placing a hand on his chest. I would never. Alessandra felt bad for questioning him. I'm sorry. But there's some truth to the rumor. I didn't sneak the women in. They jumped over the gates and my guards caught them. Rumors are messy when they're about me, Edgar explained with a smirk. Alessandra nodded, understanding. I'll hide the contract somewhere safe. And your father, stepmother, and sister won't gain entry to my home after we're married, Edgar said bluntly. I look forward to being married to you, Alessandra replied. I must leave now. If I don't return soon, my father will be angry. Come, I'll walk you out, Edgar said, standing. Alessandra mounted her carriage and looked outside at Edgar's house and his estate. She still couldn't believe she would be a duchess soon. I'm going to marry Duke Collins, she whispered in disbelief. But she still needed her father's permission to marry Edgar. No one from her family would be pleased when Edgar asks for her hand in marriage. Especially Kate, who had always dreamed of marrying someone powerful like the Duke. She had spent her whole life fantasizing about becoming his wife. And then there was the abominable William Lancaster. He is probably already making plans to torment me, to chain me up and present me to his friends, she thought. They might retaliate once they learn about this new development with the Duke. She could not help but feel anxious about the next day. Her life is in the hands of the powerful Duke, and she hopes he will free her from her home and help her get her revenge. The next morning, Alessandra was jolted awake from a deep sleep by the sound of violent banging on her door. Open the door, you vile creature, shameless. She froze, shocked by the words hurled from outside. It was Katerina and Kate, her stepmother and stepsister. Why are they shouting at me? Alessandra wondered in alarm. Did they find out about the contract? Before she could move, the door burst open, forced by a guard. Katrina and Kate stormed inside. How dare you whore around in this mansion like your mother? Katrina shouted. Mother? What are you talking about? Alessandra asked, panicked. Katerina swung her arm. A loud slap cracked across Alessandra's left cheek, making her stumble back, lightheaded. Don't ever call me your mother. Katerina yanked her by the hair and dragged her out of bed, still in her nightdress. At the same time, Duke Edgar stepped out of his mansion, with Alfred close behind. Dressed in his finest suit, the Duke climbed into his carriage. Asking for a bride is still a formidable tradition. All the best, sir, Alfred said with a respectful nod. To Barrett's, Edgar instructed the driver. Alfred stood still, watching as the carriage rolled past the gates. In Alessandra's room, Katrina and Kate slapped and shouted at her as she stood there, confused and trying to defend herself. Maids and guards gathered outside the door, drawn by the noise. Desmond arrived last. What is going on here? He demanded. Your precious daughter is turning out just like her mother, Katrina hissed. I warned you to get rid of her before she drags this family through more shame. How dare you speak of my mother like that? Alessandra shouted. Stop spreading lies and rumors. Rumors? Katrina shouted. Don't play innocent. The maid saw you sneaking into the butler's room at night. Alessandra's face froze. That's not true. I would never. Katrina motioned to the side, and a nervous maid stepped forward. Kate gently said, Go on. Tell them what you saw. I saw her going in and out of James's room, several nights now. Liar. She's lying, father. Alessandra, now on her knees, crawled closer to her father. Desmond turned toward the corner of the room. Alessandra and the others followed his gaze. There stood James, the Baron's butler. With a sorrowful, whimpering voice, he said, Forgive me, Baron. but she forced me to be her slave. I had no choice but to submit to her demands. Father, they're lying! This is all fabricated! Katrina stepped forward and slapped Alessandra hard across the face, sending her crashing to the floor, numb with shock. Enough! Her father finally shouted. You can't stay here anymore. You've proven to be just as betraying as your mother. Father, please don't. Desmond's eyes were cold. William Lancaster told me he doesn't care for a formal marriage. He's ready to take you as you are. I should have agreed sooner. He'll be here today to take you. At Desmond's command, everyone retreated from the room. Katrina and Kate were the last to leave, their eyes cold as they stared at Alessandra, who was struggling to stay on her feet. Don't send me to William, Alessandra pleaded, her voice shaking. Katrina smirked. You think William is the worst thing that could happen to you? Oh, darling, I have far worse planned. With that, she turned and walked out with Kate. Alessandra sank to her knees. I'd rather be dead than let him lay a finger on me, she thought bitterly. Just then, a shadow appeared at the doorway. Who's there? She asked, alarmed. The figure stepped into view. Mario! Don't worry, he said gently. I know they're lying. You don't need to explain anything to me. I thought no one would believe me. I do, and I don't have much time. As soon as I heard what happened, I sent a message to Duke Edgar. He's on his way. He'll be waiting for you at the tavern by the woods. Alessandra's eyes widened with hope. Are you serious? Yes, but there's no time to waste. William could arrive with his men any moment now. We need to go. I knew I could count on you, she whispered. Thank you, Mario. Without packing a thing, Alessandra wrapped her face in a scarf. Together, they slipped into the shadows. How far is it? She asked breathlessly. Just a few yards more. He should already be waiting. Alessandra followed Mario with blind faith and desperate hope. Little did she know that Mario had made a deal with the devil. Where is Mario taking Alessandra? Will she be captured by William? Or does something worse await her? Will the Duke arrive in time to save her? Can she finally take revenge on her family and gain the freedom she always dreamed of?
To listen to the full audio series, install the Pocket FM app now.
Pocket FM. Download the app.